What's up, guys? It's Charles here with Rocketpuncharmy to do a review of the Transformers Masterpiece MP-18B Cybertron Unknown Bluestreak KO figure. I know I'm usually quick with these KO figures, but if you guys haven't already read in my Facebook or whatever, my other videos, I'm going through the process of changing things up here around the house and everything. So yeah, so this is not my normal review area, but as you can see, I finally got some lighting up, my old background, so should be ready to go. So we're looking at the box here. You got the usual, you know, complete carbon copy of the original Takara. All right. I usually do a comparison between the KO box and the original box, but the original box is not here. But you know, there are ways to know for sure. Usually the KOs are very satiny. Here on the background, it's almost got like a film over it. Kind of try and picture like Scotch tape, the invisible tape over paper, that kind of satiny look. It almost looks like that, which gives it a lighter background looking here. Another way is sometimes the little shiny bits here are a little offset compared to you know, the actual picture in the background, but this one seems to be right on point. Up here, if we move up, there's a little trademark little thing which just looks like a little smudge there. You should be able to see it very sharp, a little TM right above the S, and this more than meets the eye is usually a lot sharper on the original. So that's one way to know without really comparing these two. And again, the backgrounds here, if you're looking at this just by itself, you will notice that the background on the Takara Tomy looks blue. Same thing here on the background of the MP-18B, but if you were to compare it to an original, the original looks blue, and having them together makes any kind of blue text and blue background look purple in comparison. But yeah, so this is the box. We're not going to talk much about it. This version, which is the first time it's happened to me, doesn't come sealed with tape. Just comes just the way you see it here. So we're going to go ahead and open it and pull this out. We get the usual contents here. We got the little colored booklet. We also have a little spec card here. Let's take a look at the spec card. The spec card actually doesn't look scanned. Usually it does look scanned. I don't have the original here to compare with, but you know, the little grid back here looks a little fuzzy, but as far as the actual picture, it does look pretty sharp. And if we turn it around, even the photography looks a little nice, but you can tell it does look a little bit scanned. Down here, the specs, I love this unknown. All right, let's look at the instruction booklet, see if this looks scanned. The pictures do look scanned, but they're not that bad. It's actually pretty clear, but you can tell they're a little bit scanned. You would expect a little bit higher quality if it was original. Even the instructions are a little bit scanned looking. The only thing that doesn't really look scanned is like the fonts, but you know, they do a good job. You guys know that. You've seen enough of my videos to know that the KO people do a really great job at making copies. And we still don't know if they're doing it on purpose to just, you know, fool everybody, or if they're just doing it to give people a chance to buy something cheaper. But in any case, we all have our opinions of how KOs work. I'm not here to change anybody's mind. I'm just here to educate those that are wanting to know. All right, so the tray here is held on with tape, as you just saw right there. And here's the actual figure itself, the little vehicle mode. And then we have the little rocket launchers and the actual weapon. And I do have the original Bluestreak here. I just don't have the box, so we can take a look at it. They're just really getting better and better each time. I mean, even the very first few knockoffs weren't, you know, that bad. Except for the Lamborghinis. It said like a weird Lamborghini on the back. It didn't even really say Lamborghini. But, you know, each and every time they are getting much more closer to the original. As a matter of fact, the paint almost looks spot on. A little more in the purplish shade on this, but really you have to really examine that to really notice the difference. One big difference I did notice is that the windows in the back, much more translucent on the original. You'll see the little sunroofs here, the little T-tops, much more translucent, as is the windshield. I'm sure you can probably buff this enough to make it as clear, but right out of the box, that's how it is. Let's see if these are, yeah, these are actually also rubber. I have seen some that are hard plastic. That's an easy indication. The Tampo Print Autobot faction symbol is done nicely, as is the Z logo. Now I gotta go ahead and say that the Z logo on the KO is definitely better looking than the Takara, and I would normally show you with the macro lens up close, but I will say the Z on this plus a little ring around it is definitely sharper, which is kind of surprising. If we look at the silver paint on the original, there's no smudges anywhere. I do find like some little, inconsistencies there in the metallic, the paint. But again, this is one of the least, errors I've seen on a KO so far. Usually there's, little drips or whatever, but they've done a good job, at least in this example here, which, by the way, was provided by the fine folks at tfdirect.com, so I'd like to extend the thanks out to them. You guys know they really support this channel. They've been really good to me, which is why I continue making videos for them, and they continue to work with this channel. So if you're enjoying what you see, guys, please not only support this channel but also tfdirect.com, because like I said, they're really good to this channel. So if you're enjoying the videos I make, that's what you want to do. So getting back to the review, the originals here, they really can't find anything at fault with the KO. As a matter of fact, I hate to even do this, but the Takara does have scratches in the paint. There's like a little line that just runs across, almost like the paint is too thin. There's a little bit of running here on the paint, but I do have to say the silver is definitely done better, and the translucent plastics are better. I did have to touch up the orange on the little indicators here. There was a bit of paint missing. Luckily I was able to match that with some tester's paint. Took care of that. The wheels, even though the silver is better on the original, I kind of like the gritty look of the silver on the KOs. It makes them look a little, not worn, but I guess a little more weathered. It's just the metallic on the silver of the KO is not as smooth as this, but really not a big deal. Here are the little weapons, which just peg in. So the only thing I'm not going to do, only because it's a pain in the butt, is really put this up here. There's a little peg that comes up. I mean, I'm sure you guys have seen that a million times. As a matter of fact, I probably should show you, since we want to see if it fits fine. So to do that, you fold this in, and this will plug in right in the back there. Alright, and obviously you can do the same with the original. So what else can we show you on this? I guess we want to see if it does, roll nicely. And this is right out of the box, never transformed. We want to see if it rolls smoothly. Hopefully everything's aligned. So we'll take a look at that. We'll just scan down here just a moment. So you can see the wheels are not spinning. That's because this is dragging. Maybe it's just misaligned. But they don't really roll that well. I mean, off the ground they roll well. I'm sure it's just a matter of pushing things in. But if that's something that's going to bother you, just take a look at what you might run into. Not a lot of friction on this soft thing here, but it gives you an indication of how it rolls. And actually, let's compare the original. We want to be fair here. You can see the original does roll, and this has been transformed. So that's an indication there of how that is. But if that's something that doesn't bother you, if you just want a KO, not really a big deal to me. I don't need to roll these around on the ground. Freaking 40 years old, don't need to play with these on the floor. So moving right along. Now, before we do move ahead, I did want to show you something, since I want my reviews to be as honest as possible. Moving this thing, and I probably did it because I kind of jerked it really hard before. That's what she said. But anyway, I pulled this up really hard, and I can't get over that joke. I pulled this up pretty hard, and this popped off. All right, so I'm assuming this can happen to the original, but I've yet to do it to an original. But you notice there's a screw right here, and it pulled right out of this hole. Okay, that's an easy fix. If you have a pin remover, you just remove the pin. There's a screw right there. Unless you can really just reach the screw, you might be able to even reach the screw. Either puts a little bit of glue or something in there to get some traction on the screw, and then twist it from down here. But just something I did want to let you guys know that happened. It's the first Nissan I've had this happen for the KO, but again, you know, do want to show you guys that. All right, so we're going to move ahead with transformation. Hopefully that won't be a big deal there for the transformation, but let's see if I can do this. It's been a while. I don't even know if I have to move that, but I do know that these things, whoops, these things here come down. I'm not going to do that whole sequence thing, guys. I've done it for every original one, so if you want to see the cool sequences I do, you might want to check out the video for the other ones. But for the KO, I do want to go over the transformation so that you guys can see if there's any issues that I run into during transformation, which normally would be cut out during the cool transformation sequences I normally do. So I just let that T-top thing fall because it's going to get annoying during transformation. I'm sure you guys have seen the transformation for you know, the robot mode millions of times, either here or other channels, so you know what's going on. But let's see if I run into anything while transforming, because this is literally the first time I'm transforming a KO. So far so good. Everything seems to be rather smooth and nothing really loose so far, but if I run into anything, you will be the first to know here in this video. Alright, so let's see. Do that, then the arms. And I might be doing this out of order, guys. You know, again, I'm not a professional transformer. I don't really read instructions a lot unless I really have to. And even then, I don't always follow the instructions exactly. Alright, so got to get the shoulders up here. Oops. Always something I forget, which is these little mirrors. I always forget to pull these guys in. So I'll pull these bad boys in. And these things always worry me. They're so small and dainty. Alright. And I honestly, as much as you guys probably watching this right now, hate watching, you know, transforming something, you know, while you talk. But I'm going to do it because if I run into anything weird, I do want you guys to know about it. Alright, so far so good. Bring these around. Get these wings up. Alright, so we're pretty much done. So I didn't run into any snags aside from this popping off when I was trying to get this peg back in. But again, it's an easy fix, especially if you have a, whatchamacallit, a, what do you call it, a pin punch, whatever you want to call it. But we'll just go ahead and just reattach this. It's going to be a little tricky with this off. Then we're going to attach the little shoulder mounted rockets, which go right over the originals, and mount this bad boy on there. And then the blaster, which we're going to fit in the hands. By the way, the little fingers here are nice and tight. They're not loose. Let's see if the gun gets held firmly, which so far seems like it's not going to. Make sure I'm getting in the right slot. Oh, actually it does. It does. I was putting it in the little fold of the fingers, but that's where it is. You can see it doesn't fall out, but if you want to secure it fully, close the fingers. So there we have Bluestreak, and of course we are going to compare it to the original, so I'm going to get this into robot mode and we'll compare the two. Alright, so I'm getting this guy together, and just to show you the difference in the way they hold the weapons, here's the original. Here is a little tab on the weapon. I'm going to put it right there in the palm, and look at that. Doesn't even wedge in, and it doesn't hold it, which the KO does, as I showed you earlier. So, you know, for every, you know, negative on that, there's a negative on the original, which shouldn't be the case, honestly. If you're paying a lot for an original, the original should just be designed as well as it could. You know, there shouldn't be any more positives on a KO in any case. But I think so far the little thing coming off is a big negative. It might be a big negative for a bunch of you guys out there. But again, you know, I do a lot of KO reviews, and I've done a lot of Nissan ones, and that's the first time that's ever happened. Again, easy fix, not the fault of, you know, tfdirect.com. Mostly user error, but again, easy fix. Anyway, so here we are, both of them together, side by side, looking very good, except for these wings are done wrong. You know, whichever one you get, I'm sure you're going to be happy with. I'm happy even paying more for the original. I'm also happy with this KO here. And one of the big reasons I would even like to have one of each is I can keep the original you know, in robot mode, and I can keep this one in vehicle mode. It also helps me out with reviews instead of transforming back and forth, wearing out one of the figures, you know, because I'm transforming between vehicle and robot. I can just keep one and one, and it really helps a lot. But for those of you that aren't making videos, that's also an option. You can keep one you know, in robot mode, and without having to spend another 60, 70 bucks, whatever they go for. Just spend, you know, whatever the KO is, which is around 30 something dollars, and you can keep that one in vehicle mode, you know, vice versa. One of the things that usually is a big difference in the KO originals is the face sculpt. The face sculpt is done very nice in the KO. Let me see how close I can get. I don't have macro lenses anymore, but we'll take a look. Let's zoom in close before it blurs out here. Right, you can see the KO head. Very nice sculpt. I love the way it looks. The horns, maybe the gold isn't as vibrant, I should say, as the original, but it still looks good. So take a good look at this head before I switch it to this one, and you can see the horns on this are a little more vibrant, maybe a little sharper around the edges, but the face sculpt it looks pretty close, I think. If we go back and forth, the KO just has a slightly more, I don't know, tapered look towards the chin. I guess they're both the same, but I'm kind of liking just the face alone of this. If I could get just the face alone of this into the helmet of this, I think I would be very happy, since I like the horns on this a little bit better, since they're a little softer on the KO. Alright, so there they are together. And the last bit I would like to do is to see if there's any loose joints. I know some KOs, like, they'll have loose knees. I'm shaking this figure. Nothing's going loose. Mine's a pretty solid example, aside from this backpack popping off, which even sliding it back on, it's staying on. It's not falling out, you know. But I would like to screw it down tighter. So overall, the figure's nice. The shoulders are good. So, you know, I'm always worried about these shoulders just getting loose, where they would drop down and look dumb, because the shoulders will look dumb if this drops down. But you know, so far everything's good. But again, that's why you would pick up a KO, in case you know, you transform it enough where these shoulders do end up getting loose. You just spend another 30 bucks instead of another 60, 70 for an original. But yeah, that's going to be it, guys. Again, I want to thank tftherack.com. Use the link below to grab yourself one of these, and also my code where you can get a discount and free shipping over $150. Yeah, so any questions or comments, leave them below. And if you're liking the videos, please subscribe so I can bring you more. And until next time, bye-bye.